Hello there, my name's Willie Balfour. I'm one of the chef lecturers here at SRUC, Hospitality, Professional Cookery. I'm here with my colleague Mark, and what we're going to do today is we are going to show you how to make a nice, simple but lovely gato for that special person at Valentine's. Corinne, are you there? We could do with a wee hand.
Hi Willie, yes I'm here and I'm going to demonstrate how to pipe some chocolate decorations. So for this you'll need some greaseproof paper and a piping bag. Now, the piping bag can be one that you've made yourself from greaseproof paper, or you can get them in most supermarkets. So when you're working with chocolate, it's important to melt it slowly. This stops it from becoming lumpy and grainy. And when you're piping chocolate, it's important to keep an even, steady flow. Right, I think that'll be enough. There you go, Mark.
Cheers, Corinne. There you go, Willie.
Thank you. And these are some of the runouts Corinne has made earlier, and they'll be going on our cake. But for now, we'll pop them in the fridge. Thanks, Mark. Okay, so what we're going to start off with, we've made our sponge already. We did that earlier. So what we're going to do is Mark is now going to show you that simple but lovely chocolate glaze that goes over the top of our sponge. So you want to take it away, Mark?
Certainly will. So this professional mirror glaze, we're going to use some gelatine. So we're going to take 4 litres of gelatine and we're going to soak that into cold water. We're then going to put into our pan some water, some cream, some sugar, and some cocoa powder. We're going to have the pan on the heat. While our gelatine's soaking, we're just going to dissolve the sugar and the cocoa powder in the water and the cream. Again, we don't want it too hot because we don't want it to burn on the bottom, but we need it hot enough that it's going to melt. Now, I'm not whisking, I'm using a whisk to stir the cocoa powder and sugar together, to bring it all together, to amalgamate all the elements in the pan. And it goes pretty quickly. Once it starts to get heat into it, it goes pretty quickly. And I want it hot enough that it's going to melt the gelatine, the soft gelatine, and melt the sugar. So now my gelatine's been in that water, you can see it's nice and soft. I'm going to squeeze the water out of the gelatine because I don't want to add any more liquid to it at all. Then I'm going to add my gelatine to my water, cocoa powder, cream and sugar. I'm just going to stir that until it melts. Again, I don't want to boil it. And then I've got a bowl here with a sieve. Make sure I get no lumps in my glaze. See? Stirring. Just, you can see I've dissolved all my sugar, my gelatine has dissolved. And now I'm going to pass that through a sieve into the bowl. Now I need to allow that to cool before we go any further. So now I'm going to hand you over to Willie, who'll take you to the next stage of the gato preparation.
Great, Mark, thank you. So, next thing we're going to do, we're going to assemble the gato. So what I have here, I have some apricot jam, and all I've done with the apricot jam, I've warmed it up, I've strained it to take out any of the lumps that's in there, because I don't want any lumps in this. And what I've done is I've got my gato, and a nice little trick, we need to cut it in half, but for anybody who needs a little bit of guidance, what you do is you get 2 little sticks. It says a little chef's cheat on this, and you get the 2 sticks and you lay your knife on there, you cut all the way through using the sticks as a guide. Voila, you have your 2 sponges the same thickness. Okay, so what we've got to do is I've got to take the base. Now what I've done with this base, I'm keeping it on a cooling rack, and I've got a tray, and that will catch any of the the drips that we might have at a later stage when we get on with this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my brush and I want to brush the inside of the sponge, the inside layer of the sponge with the apricot. Believe it or not, this is an actual classic mix, chocolate and apricot. I know it's something that you may think it might be a wee bit strange, but it's a very classic flavours. So I'm going to give that quite liberal with it. You know, it's going to soak into the sponge, it's going to make that sponge nice and light, and it's also going to give it lots of flavour. The good thing about this is this could be done the day before. If you do it the day before, then it gives you time for all that to soak in there. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to just give it a good old soak all the way through. There's no alcohol, anything like this. This is actually an old dessert, right? And the good thing about this is you don't have to put any cream in the centre, you don't have to put any ganache in the centre. That's what the centre is, that's the flavour. So we're then going to take the top. Now that was the bottom of the gato, so the bottom becomes the top because it's got that nice finish on there. I'll lay that on as a nice little sandwich. Then what I'm going to do, just move this, and then going to brush the outside as well. Right? You don't want to be quite as liberal with the outside, it's more for sealing it. And what we do is brush it all the way along the top, like that. Don't forget the sides. So what we're going to do is round the edge. And if you've got one of these lovely little cake boards, you can actually turn it. You see? Make life easy for yourself. If you don't have that, you just turn the tray. Right, all the way around, like that, good old glaze. And when you've done that, it's going into the fridge just a sec. Now it'll only take about 2 or 3 minutes. I don't want it going hard, we just want it so it's a little bit touch dry. So we'll take that, pop it in the fridge. Right, so I've taken this out the fridge. Now the important thing to remember when you're doing this, make sure that you have a clean tray, because what we'll do, we've got this lovely glaze that Mark had made, and you see it's got that lovely shine on it, and it's just coating the back of the ladle, so it's perfect for pouring. So what we're going to do is we've got to build up the layers. We don't try and put this all on at once. So what we're going to do now is just take a ladle, pour it over, like that, right to the edges, and let it all run down the sides. That's why it's important to have a clean tray under this, because we can reuse all this lovely chocolate glaze. Like that to start with. Now, I still have quite a bit left, but that's what we want, because this is about building up the layers. So we'll take that, we'll pop it in the fridge, and then we'll leave it in there for about 5 minutes, just till it starts to set a little bit. We'll leave this at room temperature, and then we'll repeat that till all this mixture is used up. So we'll pop that in the fridge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Here we go. So there's our finished gato, which has used up all of our glaze.
Thank you, Mark. As you can see, we've transferred it onto a plate. The glaze is set. At this point, be very careful. You don't want to leave any big dirty fingerprints on there, because it will show up. So what we've got to do now, we've just got to finish it off. So what we've got here is a little disposable piping bag. I've melted some white chocolate, and all I'm going to do, because it's Valentine's, you know, I'm trying to get as many different things on here as possible. So a little bit of white chocolate. Just be careful not to overfill the piping bag. You don't need a lot of this, and all we're going to do is fold over the top, and we'll just cut off a little bit at the end here, and we'll just have a little tester on the bench. Yeah, let's see if that works. So I'm happy with that, and then we'll just make a nice little love heart on the cake. Voila. Not finished yet. So the next thing we're going to do is, Mark has been good enough to take some of that white chocolate, and he's already dipped the strawberries. What could be more lovely than these dipped strawberries at Valentine? So what we're going to do is we're just going to take them, just randomly pop them on there. I've kept the tops on because it's easier to pick them up and just eat them with the chocolate. So any way you want, like that, and we'll pop a few on the top. Go in different directions. That looks lovely already. Look at that. Whoa. What would say more than I love you than that? One more thing. Corinne did the runouts. So what we're going to do, thank you Mark, is these little runouts. Now you have to be careful with them because they're so fragile. They're not tempered chocolate, so they are quite soft. So you're better just using a palette knife, and we're just going to randomly pop them in. Just any old way. You know, there's no right way of doing it, and I wouldn't spend too long trying to get it nice because it looks rustic, but that rustic look looks lovely as well. So like that, let's get a few more on there, why not? It's Valentine's after all. Pop them round like that, and moving the plate, make life easy on yourself. Like, and there we are. So that's our little gato there. So the other thing is, Roz, do you think you have some bubbles that would go with this?
It's funny you should say that, Willie. Yes, I've got some lovely recommendations to go with that beautiful looking chocolate cake of yours. The first one is a lovely pink Prosecco. So who doesn't like a bit of sparkle on Valentine's Day? I've gone for the pink one, so the sweetness from the red berries that make it the pink will counterbalance the bitterness of the chocolate. So, and the effervescent bubbles will give a nice refreshment to your palate. So that's that one. Beautiful. If you're not a wine drinker, you prefer an ale, I recommend the Innis & Gunn. It's the original one, and it's aged in bourbon casks. So it's got a beautiful caramelly vanilla taste, which again gives the sweetness, so you don't want too much bitterness. So that's the ale. If you don't want an alcoholic drink, I'd recommend a nice raspberry lemonade. There's plenty of those in the market. It's raspberry lemonade. Again, you've got the sweetness from the berries and the fizz there, so you can still have the nice pink fizz, but it doesn't have to be alcoholic. So they are my 3 recommendations. I hope you enjoy, but at the end of the day, it's exactly what you prefer to drink. Okay, cheers Willie, Mark and Corinne. Cheers everybody.
Cheers, Willie, Rose and Mark.
Cheers Roz, cheers Corinne, happy Valentine's.